win it. And Detroit is in it to win it. The origin story for Split started in Los Angeles 3 years ago when I was living and working downtown. Every morning, I would rely on the hotel shuttle bus to take me downtown to work, until that one fateful morning when the shuttle bus was overbooked. But fortunately for me, there were 2 hotel guests also heading in the same direction, and I offered to share the ride. When I returned back to New York City after living and working in Los Angeles, what I found is that this natural ride-sharing concept was actually already in implementation, where the Taxi and Limousine Commission had set up signs for New York City residents to share the cab experience from the Upper East Side all the way down to the financial district. And keep in mind, this was before Uber and Lyft existed. Humanity has come a long way in terms of mobility, from horses all the way to cars, thanks to Detroit. And what we see now is a new shift in mobility, where access and automation is actually more important than how we get there. So how did we get here to Michigan? In 2015, Ted Serbinski, the managing director of Techstars Mobility, found our company in New York City and asked us to participate in what I thought would be a 3-month program. We were really fortunate to have the mentorship of Bill Ford, as well as other investors and advisors who not only gave us great advice, but also helped pivot our company from a very consumer-facing app to a business-to-business app that would help employees carpool together. Arguably, they saved our business. And it wouldn't have been without great supporters and champions in Michigan, accelerators, investors, leading industry experts who really became more like family. And that's how we identify with Michigan, the sense of family and collaboration. And also our first customers who were in Michigan, who became more like partners to us. Our first customer was DTE Energy. Steve Baker was a tremendous force of growth and change for our product, as well as those initial first users of our product who gave us solid advice from day one and helped us redefine and iterate upon our existing model. We learned from DTE how to engage in the community, but also, more importantly, how to become a part of it. So what we see is this new economy, and just as our application is constantly transforming to adjust to the demand and changes in mobility, we're also seeing a new shared economy, and we like to view it as opportunity and also new business models that are constantly erupting. Times are definitely changing. The millennials are a good example of this. They care far less about car ownership than generations previously. We're also seeing that over half of people under the age of 44 would share their cars. This is something that is new. When we've met with automakers and organizations from across the world, they're all very keen and interested to stay relevant and to participate in this new economy. 1 year ago in May, our company was chosen to represent Michigan and Detroit by participating in Google Demo Day in Mountain View, California. And it was there at Google Demo Day where we would uncover our next big market and customer, Bosch, Mexico. Mr. Rene Schlegel, the president of Bosch Mexico, came to Detroit and visited our team, and his right-hand man, CIO Alberto Ibadian, had a vision for Split to bring our platform to Mexico to service all 14,000 employees. And to this day, outside of Michigan, they have remained our #1 supporter. So we launched on Thanksgiving. We launched in a way where we motivated employees through gifts and gas cards and platinum parking near the office building, and a continuum of rewards that really would keep people using the system and carpooling with their fellow employees. And the results were staggering. In just 1 week, we saw 50% adoption among all of the employees. We also know that a lot of the employees are shift workers who are without cars, and so they're having to take 1, 2, 3 buses even to get to work. A lot of those shift workers are mothers who've tucked their kids into bed and they're working the overnight shift. And this is not dissimilar to Detroit's disconnected neighborhoods that we see currently. So Glenn challenged me to share my Detroit story. And I think we can all see and appreciate what is transforming in Detroit. There are tens of thousands of new jobs that are being added. We see an increase in the number of people who are graduating from college. We're being priced out of the real estate market, and new restaurants are popping up left and right. So we definitely see change and are very much a part of that movement. Detroit is also reinventing itself, much like a startup, in our opinion. And our vision at SPLT is to change the way people meet and move. And not just the people who live in the 7.2 miles of downtown Detroit, but people who live in all 132 miles of Detroit. Because what we see is that people are being left behind with these new mobility initiatives. People like Adana and Earl and Rose. These people rely on a service that's called non-emergency medical transportation, where they rely on drivers who are supposed to pick them up on time to take them to their doctor's appointments and to get them back home safely. We ran time motion studies at all of the area hospitals in Detroit. We interviewed all of these patients, and the message was the same. After cancer treatment, after dialysis, they're left waiting hours for rides that never actually show. Our amazing team and intern Cassidy actually took them home that night. So what are we doing about it? We formed a partnership just a year ago with Lyft to provide non-emergency medical transportation to these folks and more to make sure that they get to their doctor's appointments on time and that they get home as quickly as possible. This is something that we're doing here in Detroit and throughout the Midwest, and we've been really fortunate to work with Mayor Duggan, Governor Snyder, the Detroit Department of Health, to make sure that no patient is left behind. Our vision for SPLT is quite simple, although this code has not entirely been cracked yet. We see an alignment of all transportation solutions, that it's only through coming together and forming a way in which people can confidently give up their car or leave it behind. They need to rely on other options that are in complete alignment for them to be able to travel to and from work or wherever it is they need to go. Also, OEMs are paying attention. They definitely see the light. And we're also seeing that all eyes are on Michigan right now. Our team had dinner with Mark Zuckerberg when he was in town a couple of weeks ago. And it was really interesting to speak with Mark. He has a deep appreciation for the hard work that symbolizes Detroit, also the ingenuity. And he shared openly how Detroit is raking in the startups and how Silicon Valley is actually losing shares. We moved our business from New York City to Detroit and are very much a part of this movement. And that's because Michigan is #1. And I think that we can all agree, whether we're a Spartan or a Wolverine, as I've come to appreciate, sports is very big in Michigan, that Michigan is home to some of the best and brightest engineers and entrepreneurs in the world. But we can't stop there, and we can't slow down, because what we see in our industry is that ride-sharing symbolizes a graveyard of failed businesses. And Michigan has been a great proving and testing ground for our business, and we like to think we've been protected from that similar fate. And it's true, the impact of a single carpool is enormous. It takes just 5% of the cars off the road to see our highways move 50% faster. But it also means that if we're going to win in this connected race, we have to all come together. And so from every carpool that is formed, from every connection that is forged, It helps our communities grow stronger. And so we must move and work in the same direction, maybe even singing during karaoke carpools. And this is something that has brought us here, and so we turn it back to you, Michigan, and want to thank you for bringing our business here. Thank you for powering and empowering Split. And now, let Split power you.